things, all the stuff in our world. Here's the story of how it comes to be. Hello, I'm Brian Unger. I'm Professor Lou Bloomfield.
From the drawing board to the assembly line, it's how the ordinary is actually extraordinary. On some assembly required, guitars, caskets, and lip balm.
One of the first solid-body electric guitars was invented by jazz musician Les Paul in 1941. Now, in the early 50s, he joined forces with Gibson. And these days, worldwide, this guitar is pretty much the standard for novices and professional players.
When Les Paul, the legendary jazz guitarist, helped Gibson launch this masterpiece in 1952, right away, the signature sound and design of the Les Paul model made it the choice for guitar gods throughout rock and roll. The Gibson Guitar Factory in Nashville is where craftsmanship and science make beautiful music together. Hundreds of guitars leave here every day.
The factory here in Tennessee is literally heaven for guitars.
How do vibrating guitar strings generate electricity? We start with wood, 5 kinds of it. That's what it takes to produce the trademark Les Paul sound.
You know, the shop here at Gibson is a working wood shop. It's dangerous. A lot of saws, a lot of people riding around on pallets when they shouldn't be.
The guitar body of a Les Paul is mostly mahogany. That's used for structural stability, but it's wet when it comes through the door. That's the problem. Wet wood leads to warping, and warping leads to imperfect sound. So first we lower the percentage of moisture carefully.
We don't want the wood to turn and to curl and all that kind of stuff. We want it dry so that it's always going to be straight. So you're looking for a goal of 10%? Or 10% under is what you're looking for.
A conventional oven would take about a month to bake the water out. So to speed things up, Gibson uses a vacuum kiln, one that effectively vacuums away the moisture, reaching the 10% target in just 2 days.
The way it works is to take away the air. It'll lower the pressure inside the kiln while it's cooking the wood.
Lower the air pressure and water's boiling point plunges more than 100 degrees. In fact, by the time you get to the pressure inside this kiln, water boils at only 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Our baked mahogany emerges like buns from the oven. We're close to turning all this wood into the bottom of a Les Paul guitar.
This is actually warm. Yeah.
Now it's over to Bob Messman, who literally pieces together the bottom of the guitar. Now, most people think guitar bottoms are one big chunk of wood. They're actually 3 pieces glued together.
What do you call this? Just a glue wheel? The glue wheel.
90 guitar bottoms get on and off this Ferris wheel-looking contraption every hour.
Good trick. My first body.
The glue is dry in just a couple of hours, and then it's into the router. Computers tell the router where to carve out spaces in the guitar body. Now, in these cavities, Gibson will install hardware down the line. This is a deafening, dusty process. Then these guitar bottoms, the backs, finally get tops, which become the fronts of the guitars. Now, the tops are made of maple. It's a beautiful wood. Some call it a tone wood because of the rich sound it helps produce.
The moment I get cocky is the moment I break something. All right. Top meets your bottom.
Good old glue with about 1,000 pounds per square inch marry the mahogany and maple.
Excellent work.
Then I tangle with a terrifying bandsaw.
That's all. A little intimidating. Wow, look at that.
Back into the router, and this assembly is really starting to hum. Of course, we still need to cut the neck of the guitar. Now, we've got to add more wood to one end of the neck to make it wide enough to hold the keys.
This is the neck of the guitar. Yes, right. But at the end, of course, the end of every Gibson neck is wider. Yeah. With, what do you call those? The
wing blocks. You put wing blocks on them.
So right now it's just basically a piece of wood. Yeah.
The wing blocks go in the clamp, the neck is glued.
All right, it's cooking.
Same Danish microwave home.
Same microwave oven you'd have at home.
That's right.
George, there's radiation coming out of here. We don't want to fry your private, George.
And in just seconds, our necks get their wings. The initial woodwork is done, and with that we've created the bones of the most famous guitar in the world. Now, our neck needs some metal.
When you tighten all of the strings, they tend to pull the neck forward so that it bows like this. That makes it hard to keep the guitar in tune. The original solution to this problem was to use an awkwardly thick neck. But then one day someone at Gibson had a brilliant idea. They cut a slot in the neck that's deeper in the middle than at the ends and inserted a metal truss. When they tighten this truss now, it pushes the middle forward so the whole neck arches like this. Not only does that help it fight the string tension and keep in tune, but they can adjust it over the life of the guitar to accommodate changes in climate or temperature.
With their truss rods in place, the necks move down the line to meet up with a critical part of the guitar, the frets.
These are the frets. This is one continuous fret, but essentially each piece will be a fret on a guitar neck. There is a ridge on the end of this fret, and it is this edge that's going to fit down in the pre-cut groove already in the neck.
It takes a while to catch on.
Every fret is installed by hand at Gibson. It's careful, expert work. It's just one example of the passion they pour into these guitars. Gibson hasn't found a machine that has a soft enough touch or works as fast or can exact the high quality needed at this critical assembly.
That's a great looking board. You did good.
Did I? All right. There are two reasons for having frets. One of them is to lift the string off the fingerboard so it can vibrate more clearly. The other is to end the string at a very specific location to give it a sharply defined pitch. When you say to give it a sharply defined pitch, you mean to give it a note. Yeah. They're put in there at very specific locations to create the Western scale. And each one of these is a note on the Western scale. But you gotta get the fret height right. If the fret's too tall, the string will hit it as it vibrates.
The fretboard is glued to the neck, and together with my friend Tyler Parsons, we fit the neck to the body of the guitar, again, by hand.
Now this is a true marriage right here. This is where the neck meets the body. Is that right, Tyler? That is right. It's like the space shuttle docking with the space station. All right. Now how far down this clamp do I go?
You can go into the side of it. Usually go right into the side.
On the side. Okay.
Yeah, then just twist it around to the right side right here.
The neck is actually too big to fit the guitar. I suppose they could make it so it would just slip in there nicely, but they want to make sure that it doesn't fit. So that has to be done by hand, like everything else here at Gibson.
Throw some glue on that bad boy.
All right.
Make sure it's on all surfaces.
All surfaces. Now,
Make sure to put a little pressure pushing towards the back of the guitar when you're pulling down on it too. So kind of pull. There it is, right there, man.
Right on here?
Right on there, man.
The Gibson Guitar Factory in Nashville, Tennessee. This place has produced one of the most popular instruments on the planet, the Les Paul electric guitar. Now, a vintage Les Paul electric guitar can fetch from $100,000 to $500,000 at auction.
Lou and I are making our own classic six strings. We've taken the raw lumber, baked it, cut it, glued it, and shaped it.
Well, we have what is an assembled guitar for the first time. This is a real Gibson.
Now, we're ready to put some paint on this wood, and even the color prep, all the sanding that goes into it is done by hand. When the wood is smooth as silk, we're ready to paint the classic sunburst finish on a Les Paul. They paint the guitars with quick-drying lacquer. That's important, given they apply up to 6 coats.
All right for a rookie.
All right for a rookie.
Yeah.
Ouch, Karen. Ouch.
Through trial and error, Gibson settled on 6 as the means to achieve a really rich, deep luster. When the paint is dry, it's time to tango with a cotton wheel coated in wax as your partner. It's all in the hips.
I'm just going to sort of sit back, watch before I ruin one.
Buffing is like waxing the car. The guitars will be so shiny you'll be able to see your reflection.
This is like dancing. I mean, you gotta have a rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we should have a drink first before I do this. So, kind of like this?
Kinda.
Sorta, but not really.
Yeah, it's okay.
Use your body more than your arms.
Oh,
Or just use your
my hips
arms.
into it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Lean into it a little bit more.
Wow, look at that.
Congratulations.
You see yourself in it? Off my first guitar, yo. Oh, she's pretty, huh? Nice and polished. Of course, at this stage, merely air guitar. And I will spare you my nerdy air guitar moves. But we're moving into another room here, and this is a very special place. This is a place where some metal strings get together with a couple of magnets, and together what they produce is pretty electrifying.
So how does all this become electric? Well, the answer begins with magnets inside the body of the guitar.
This has always stumped me, this functioning of the pickup. How does it work exactly? You really are generating electricity with the vibration of the string, and it's done magnetically.
Inside every pickup, there are U-shaped magnets. Magnets like to be complete loops, so they need a top piece, and that's the steel string. When a string is plucked, it drags the magnetic field back and forth, and that motion generates electricity. That electric power flows through the core to the amplifier, to the speaker, which shakes the air at the pitch or note of the plucked string.
Hardware's in, time for the string.
So our Les Paul is nearing its final destination, and it's just about to make beautiful music, right, Kirby?
That's right.
Now, they call you the stringer. Now, I wonder what you do here, Kirby Beats.
Well, it's magic.
Yeah. This is the tailpiece, obviously. And you basically just, in advance, feed these strings through there, so you can just, in this assembly, just pop it on there and move it on down the line?
Exactly. Just tightening them up a little bit. Voila.
Now, there are three things that determine the pitch of a guitar string. The first is its inertia.
the more inertia the string has, the slower it vibrates, and the lower the pitch. The second way to affect pitch is tension. As you turn the key here and tighten the string up, its pitch goes up. Finally, there is the length of the string. As you're playing the guitar, you're shortening the string so it vibrates faster. From this note to this note. I can show you how that's done.
A guitar will easily go out of tune or lose its pitch if the neck bends under the pressure of the tightened strings. Remember that truss rod we placed in the neck?
Now this neck is underbowed. You'll see the tension of the strings if you can look down there. Right through.
So that neck has a dip.
Right.
And the
truss
rod is going to correct that for us?
Yes. All you got to do is turn it clockwise about 1/8 of a turn and see that it's straight.
Oh yeah, it is straight.
I've been in this plant for 12 years and I can look at a top like this and just be knocked out by it. You know, I can think, man, that is just like, you know, somebody really going to be lucky to get this guitar.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to find this and fall in love with it just like I did mine. We'll see if it works.
Before we can ship it, there's one last step. Time to tune our classic 6-string.
It's a chromatic tuner. It picks the string out. I'm hitting an E string, and it's showing you that it's an E, and it's showing you that it's a little flat. I bring it up, and I'm... have to do a bend buzz. Make sure that everything plays right on it. Could be a bad note somewhere.
This is very exciting for us because we've seen this guitar go from a couple of pieces of wood in your lumberyard
Yes, sir.
to your hands where someone's actually making music come from it. What is there left to say? Can you just...
Sold!
As they say, nothing is certain except death and taxes. No matter what your preoccupation with the former, in the end, 6 feet under is a highly corrosive environment.
So how can you make a casket that will stand the test of time? Batesville, Indiana is home to an American industrial giant, the Batesville Casket Company, one of the largest manufacturers of caskets in the world.
About a third of the caskets here at Batesville Casket Company are made from wood. The other 2/3 made from metal.
Each day, tons of metal are cut, stamped, welded, and adorned, turned into custom caskets.
So to get an idea of how much metal they go through every day here at Batesville Casket Company, imagine 5 of these filled with giant coils of steel, copper, and bronze.
Caskets come in many shapes and varieties, but the ones we're making have a feature that adds to the lifetime of the casket. It's the metal ones that hold up best against the elements, and it's what they do to the metal that's the key to the casket's longevity.
They start with the raw material for the caskets. Here, giant steel sheets, some 3,000 square feet of it, are cut into rectangles.
From here, the newly cut sheets are sent to be pressed and turned into shapes that will become the tops, the bottoms, and sides of the casket. As you can imagine, pressing or shaping steel requires tremendous force.
Steel is tough, but as anyone who's ever had a fender bender knows, it can dent. Engineers call that yielding, and they use it to shape normally elastic steel so that it changes shape forever.
takes huge pressure, about 450 pounds per square inch, to make steel yield to the casket maker's will.
It's in the next step that a key process occurs that makes the casket last a really long time.
Well, I'm here with Charlie, and we are applying the sacrificial anode, and it has something to do with rust, right? The whole sacrificial thing has something to do with rust. Yeah. Anytime you're talking about sacrificial anodes, is it time for lube?
A casket will corrode much like a battery will lose its power. When it's buried, the casket will lose positive metal particles, ions, to the soil. In other words, it will corrode. When you add the zinc sacrificial anode, that anode strengthens the casket's negative charge, attracting positive metal ions and stopping them from leaving. It's that corroding anode that keeps the casket intact. That's why it's referred to as sacrificial.
This zinc bar is the most important weapon in the battle against corrosion, but it's not the nicest looking adornment, so it's attached to the bottom. While bottoms are being pressed in one area of the factory, tops are being cranked out in another.
All right. That thing coming down is literally like a building. You can feel the ground shake underneath you, and that puts that amount of pressure, only 1,500 tons, down on this metal. Oh, I see, like that. Now we're going to do 4 of these every minute. And by the end of an 8-hour shift, we're going to have about 1,200 casket lids. I got to do 2 jobs at once here. Telling you.
My very tolerant coworker, Bob Prickle, rolls lubricant on the edges of the steel so it doesn't tear under the force of the press. Now, this press could easily take off a limb, so Batesville has installed an interesting safety feature, an invisible light beam that spans the mouth of the press. Break that plane, like I just did.
Did I shut that down?
And the whole production line shuts down.
It's timing. Timing is everything. So by just pointing over there, I shut this whole thing down. I just stepped in front of these light curtains and I shut not only this machine down, but that machine, that robot, and the 2 other presses down the line. Is the robot okay? Oh, Albert's cool.
Over the years, state-of-the-art robots have joined the line.
Here in the primary assembly area for the casket lids, the lid takes shape for the first time on this press. It's handed off to this robot, Albert, and feeds it into a second press. Here the edges are trimmed off, the strap is put onto this line, fed out that way on this conveyor, put into a dumpster, and hauled out of the building. The second robot, Obi, hands off the lid to a third press, where the edges are curled under, a clamp is placed on the casket top, and it's fed down this line. The anti-rust wash is placed on the lid. It's heated, dried. Well, this 4th and last press here on the line makes these, the sides. They go like this. And now that we have all the sides of our casket, including the tops and the bottoms, it's time to weld these together and assemble the different parts of the plant here at Batesville.
At Batesville Casket Company in Batesville, Indiana, we've shaped our raw metal into the pieces that will add up to a casket. Now, with the tops and bottoms and sides all pressed, it's time for the next step. I'm going to weld all the pieces together to form the shell of the casket.
Ready to weld, please. Ready to weld. As you go down the weld, how do you get that nice smooth weld as you go down the seam?
You gotta take it slow down the seam.
I'm going too fast.
Yeah, you gotta go slow. You can't go fast.
Did I hit the seam at least this time?
It's supposed to, man. You missed
Most
a
of
little bit.
it. I missed up
But
there.
it's all- I can work
You
it
can
out.
work with that.
Yeah, I can work with it. I can work
You
it
can
out.
work with that. Woohoo!
Now once the shell is complete, it moves down the line where we weld on the bottom.
You probably didn't know that you can weld underwater, but here it is. This seam welder is tying together two sheets of steel.
A tremendous electric current runs from the copper wheel through the steel. Since copper is a great conductor, it holds up just fine. Steel is a poor conductor, and it begins to melt immediately. The water acts as a coolant, keeping the steel from overheating.
This welder is automated, but Batesville still relies on welders like Raymond White to push the casket through.
While that seam welder sort of drives it, you steer this thing through, right? But you gotta have the right moves. Watch yourself.
Lou and I have to smooth out the man-made welds, since some of these seams will be visible on the casket if they're not sanded.
One of the dangers of doing this is not so much the sparks flying off as you're sanding. It's the metal filings getting stuck inside your hair on your forehead, and after you leave the line, they drip down into your face and sometimes get in your eyes. Thus, the hairnet, protective eyewear, and the flame retardant underwear we're wearing too.
A century of knowledge has made Batesville's assembly a remarkably choreographed operation. The lids we pressed earlier will soon be united with their shells for the first time. For most caskets manufactured by Batesville, the lids will be cut in half. Next up, a robotic header welder, a totally automated process that's totally cool.
Now, I'm with my friend Brian here, and we're at the header welder, and this is the header. This is basically the end in the assembly for the lids.
Caskets built with two-piece lids need headers built into each half for structural support.
So it rotates, and then the welding begins.
The robot does it all, welds the headers into place and grinds them smooth.
Well, if there was a nerve center to the Batesville Casket Company, this would kind of be it. This is sort of a nexus where caskets are coming in from all angles. Some of them are going in to be painted. Some of them are going on the top to be brushed. Some of them are going to be primed. And really, for the first time in this assembly, these caskets stop just being metal boxes and start taking on a little more significance. So, inside this room, a very small room, confined room, the delicate process of painting goes on. So delicate, we're not allowed to do it.
Now, because these caskets require a flawless finish, there's no room for rookie mistakes. So, Lou and I are relegated to the sidelines during the critical painting phase.
The paint formulas are the final touch that extends the life of the casket. Even if there is a flaw, chemicals in the paint react with the environment, resulting in a closure over that flaw, halting the corrosion process and sealing out moisture.
When the paint's dry, it's time for the hardware to be installed. Working with the crew, we'll install more than 24 different hardware components to each casket. In these chambers, they can paint thousands of fancy decorative elements in a single shift.
This is where all the ornamentation on the casket is painted, but they do it in these giant washers and dryers?
Yeah.
What are they?
It's not painting. These are giant vacuum chambers.
Oh, cool.
And they're putting real metal coatings on even plastic parts.
Tungsten filaments are pre-coated with little chunks of pure metal. And when heated to several thousand degrees, the metals begin to evaporate atoms. Those atoms leave and travel straight through the vacuum to form a shiny, mirror finish on whatever they hit. In this case, the casket parts.
Now, why not just paint these with regular spray guns? I mean,
You can't get a shiny metal finish like this with a paint.
With our coating dry, the hardware is bolted on while the caskets move on down the line. The crews in this part of the plant work at amazing speeds. They'll churn out 68 caskets in an hour. Installing the bedding, very delicate operation, is the final step of assembly.
well, now, right now we're just really just kind of pimping the final ride, as they say.
Our custom casket, designed to withstand the test of time, is now complete. Early on, we installed an important component, the one that slows nature's corrosive assault. That innocuous-looking piece of zinc might help a casket outlive us all.
It is very early in the morning. It is 6:30 a.m. and this place is a hive of activity. Pardon the comparison, but it's appropriate. We're in the home of the most recognizable tube of lip balm perhaps in the world, Burt's Bees. Everyone loves this, everyone recognizes it, but it is so much more than just a little tube of lip balm. Have you seen Bert? Bert? No? Bert? You seen Bert?
How do you make lip balm that melts on your lips, but not in the tube? At the Burt's factory in Durham, North Carolina, they churn out over 16,000 tubes of lip balm every day. But before the success, before all the buzz, there was a modest beginning.
In the early 80s, Bert Shavitz was selling honey out of the back of a pickup truck in Maine when he and his partner, Roxanne Quimby, decided to take some of the excess beeswax and make candles and lip balm in their kitchen.
18 years later, Bert and Roxanne's recipe has remained the same. A combination of vitamins, oils, and, of course, beeswax. Now, since beeswax is such a key ingredient, before our assembly, we head for the hive. Now, Burt's imports its wax, tons of it, from overseas, but we're on a budget, so it's off to the Brushy Mountain Bee Farm in Moravian Falls, North Carolina.
All right, Professor.
Let's suit up.
How'd you get done so quick? I don't know. I probably made a mistake and I'll pay for it later.
Now, these little workers are very industrious, but they don't take too kindly to surprise
Put
visitors.
smoke on them here. And
Steve Forrest has 30 hives on his farm.
We'll put smoke on them here.
Is there any reason why we're wearing protected gear, Steve, and you're not?
Yes, because I'm worried that you might sue me if you get stung.
I think that's an excellent
Each hive contains several removable frames.
Wow, look at all that.
Within each frame is a honeycomb covered in wax.
Now this beeswax is pretty nice white color. I've seen beeswax in various different colors. What gives the beeswax its color?
Well, you can really see it here. See how white this is right here?
Yep.
And how this is darker?
Yep.
Do you know why it's darker? Because the bees have been walking on it.
Oh, it's like walking on a white carpet.
After the bees have all buzzed away, we're left with something like this.
And I would just then take this knife, which is kind of one of the tools of the trade, and scrape off these caps. And that is pure wax right there. And this is how, presumably, Bert would have begun Burt's Bees.
Back Back at the plant, we begin the process of making lip balm at the loading dock, where all the oils arrive by the barrel full.
All right, is there anything I should know before I pull this out?
It's heavy.
It's heavy. Okay. So I pull this baby out. Oh! That's not good.
Not bad.
I got 3 tubs of aloe juice. What am I going to do with it?
We're going to sample it now.
Then we measure out 2 of the lip balm's key ingredients, sunflower oil and peppermint oil.
Just to remove any dust, dirt that might get in the product.
Okay. All right. So how much peppermint oil are you going to put in there?
We're going to get about 15 kilos in there.
What's this?
It's usually what you do to a spout.
You know, Mike, this is my first day, man. You gotta go easy on me. Oh, okay. I don't want to overfill my container, right?
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. Dude, oh, you're over. Classic overpour.
Oh, jeez.
The oils in Bert's recipe, sunflower, coconut, peppermint, they all play important roles. First, they act as moisturizers to soothe dry lips, but they also give lip balm its structure and consistency. Here's how. All these oils contain fats, but some fats melt at lower temperatures than others. The exact combination of these fatty oils will help produce a balm that'll melt on your mouth and not in the tube. The next ingredient we measure out is vitamin E.
Vitamin E acetate, you got it. Hello, vitamin E. Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of lip balm.
All right. Ever just fall asleep right here watching 25 kilos of vitamin E? The potential to basically cover yourself in oil at Bert's Bees is great, isn't it? I mean, I'm already just like covered in, I don't know, some kind of like vitamin E, and I got
Peppermint oil.
some peppermint oil on me, and beeswax, and you go home, you just smell like a big tube of lip balm.
Sure do.
You do?
Yeah.
People give you funny looks?
Yeah, they
Bert then heats the ingredients to a temperature above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, then slowly cools it down.
All right. It's time to test the wax.
In North Carolina, the folks here at Bert's Bees are busy attending to the world's chapped lips. Bert's kitchen is about the size of a football field, and the batch of lip balm I'm making will eventually fill 100,000 tubes. We started mixing our oils into a heated compound, and now it's time for Bert's famous wax.
So I'm here with Keith, the compounding specialist. I have my, which spatula am I going to use here?
Normally, we're going to use this one. This one is to get all the liquids out of
Keith, this is for like pancakes.
No, but you can't use this spatula for the small containers.
This is really the big step where we add the beeswax.
This is the hard work.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Bend at the knees.
Bend at the knees. Don't hurt your back.
This whole box.
You're going to dump the whole box.
Is there any kind of method to this part?
No, you just practice.
No. Have you ever slipped and fallen into the beeswax?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Beeswax has a high melting temperature. It forms the infrastructure for a hive, keeping its solid structure even on the hottest day. Beeswax consists of long molecules that cling to one another strongly enough to create a firm solid that's still pliable. It's an ideal base for lip balm.
Now just 5 more boxes. Piece of cake.
5 more boxes.
5 more. Could you do it?
You go to a gym or do you just
I get out here. This is all the exercise.
This seems like a lot of work, but consider this. It took bees from around 25 hives an entire year to fill just one of these boxes. But there's one more ingredient that's gonna help hold Bert's together.
This waxy substance, lanolin, is a semi-solid at room temperature, but it melts near body temperature. It's one of nature's best moisturizers, consisting of molecules that are easily absorbed into the skin, where they retain moisture.
The mixture is heated up until the beeswax melts. Now, the final two ingredients are peppermint oil and vitamin E. They both break down at temperatures over 130 degrees, so they'll go in last.
Sure there's not an easier way to do this, Keith?
No, that's the easiest way to do it right now. Is just to put it in there and dump it.
About 3 dozen gallons or so should do it.
You guys don't waste a drop here at Burt's, do you?
Try not to.
Now, seriously though, all this oil and all of these things you use, how do you clean all this up?
Usually we use the mop.
Well, we're all done with our melting and our mixing, and we're ready to take this concoction out of here and pour it into the tubes.
With some help from Fernando Kia.
I'm supposed to put these in now, is that right?
Exactly. And they need to be straight.
They need to be straight in here, okay.
And we normally use 2 hands, but we understand.
Everyone at Burt's is so polite.
Feel a little snap.
That snapped.
Turn over.
Turn it over.
And place it on the belt.
Let's mix them both.
It takes just 10 minutes for the molten balm to solidify.
So I flip it over like this.
Then use your thumb.
And voila. Oh yeah, that's nice. It's a good year right here. No more fumbling for the caps. This machine actually takes all the caps on the tubes in succession with precision, not missing a beat.
Now, I face the greatest challenge of the day.
So, Ella, how much time do I have to basically fill one row of this box?
You have 3.3 seconds to fill one
That's
row.
ridiculous, though. 3.3.
The ladies down the line are handling it.
And, already. So on this line, we need to get 8,000 boxes sold today?
8,000 boxes.
And with a clown like me on the line, how many do you think will get off?
500.
This is some serious I Love Lucy stuff going on right here.
Can't believe they do this in 3.3 seconds. Is just really ridiculous.
Oh, that one's upside down. Darn it.
How do you get your fingers to move that fast?
Oh,
brother.
that was 8.08 seconds.
I'm actually adding time as I work. Somebody put this one upside down. Who did it? Anyone? Now, what happens if you fall behind 3.3?
That person will be switched out.
Then you switched out? So you would move me out and put me in a new position?
In a heartbeat.
All right. Oh, no, bro. I am so sorry. I want to apologize to the whole line for that one. Well, that is the A to Z of Burt's Bees. Hopefully, everyone who ordered Burt's will get their products, but with me on the line, I'm not sure they're going to get them.